Research has shown men deal with sadness differently than women and tend to look at the problems rather than their emotions. Men tend to be more competitive and concerned with power, pride and success than women do.
I suppose if I'd have seen the signs, I'd have recognised that I was mentally ill because people was drifting away from me and I was spending more and more time on my own.
About 5 years I was by myself. I kept myself isolated. I seen anyone on the street, I didn't want to talk to them. And that was even with people I know, so yeah, I just didn't want to, I fell deeper and deeper into depression.
Depression feel like, is something, you can't like anything. You're feeling coming the depression, you don't like anything. Sometimes you're feeling and sometimes you're very happy. And you can't understand that feeling.
When the breakdown happened and I started suffering with serious depression, I couldn't get up in the mornings. Couldn't give a monkey's. I wasn't washing properly, I wasn't looking after myself. I started to put on, weight and things of that nature.
I feel not worthy. That's one of the things you want to hide from. You want to hide from the truth. You actually don't want to be in the situation that you're in. But there's nowhere to hide. There's no escape.
Many men become vulnerable when faced with major loss such as a job. They often do not have adequate support. 1 in 7 men will develop depression within 6 months of unemployment. Depression makes it harder to get another job.
I pride myself in saying that I've had 6 different careers. Everything from a cooling tower director to an ice cream man, to a singer, a builder. I don't know what I did wrong, but it all fell down like a house of cards. And then I couldn't put the pieces together.
I'm a former detective. I was used to dealing with other people's trauma. I spent most of my career as a murder detective. I've seen murder scenes. I've arrested murder suspects. I've interviewed the families of the victims of murder, etc. I've worked with barristers. I've worked through the Crown Court system, securing convictions. I was the archetypal tough guy cop, and to find myself in that level of vulnerability was completely alien to me, and it was actually, I'm being very genuine in this, it was an extremely frightening experience.
I was always in construction from the age of 15 and up until I was probably 28, and like I say, I'd only ever done that, and I'd never tried anything else, and I've seen all these people who put it, and it just, like I say, it just got me depressed, getting really stressed at my job. I really lost it at my job. I ended up getting dismissed, and yeah, I haven't worked since then.
Trouble in a marriage or long-term relationship is the single most common problem associated with depression. Relationships for men suffering from mental health issues can be a major problem. Men may become angry, violent or completely withdrawn.
I had a breakdown with my relationship with girl, and because it was difficult for some people to understand, like a man can react like I used to react, like with my behavior, so.
Pleasing a woman, the basic things. Unfortunately, you feel inadequate. I mean, as I say, I used to feel so proud, but now I feel the opposite to that. I feel inadequate all the time.
Well, it affects you as a person. It affects the people that you have relationships with, whether friends or i.e. a partner and everything like that, people that don't really take time out to understand you, that's when it can cause a lot of friction.
I thought I was a strong bloke. You know, I looked after I had a wife, I had a daughter, I had a cottage on a farm, estate. We had a house that we rented out to tenants. You know, I worked hard as a murder detective, and I was pretty sure that that was my life. And I went from, in a number of weeks really, from when the sort of breakdown started to when it really kicked in, to becoming somebody who was just no good for anything.
Men are less likely to go to see their GP or a counsellor. They are more likely to let problems escalate before they seek help. Although in the UK doctors are prescribing less antidepressants and refer more to a psychologist or counsellor, tablet medication is still seen as the main solution.
And then you go to one doctor's, they put you on one lot of tablets. You go to a different group of doctors, they'll diagnose you with something different and they'll put you on those tablets and they'll swear to you that you have to take them. Well, in the first place, when you've been to 4 or 5 doctors and they've all done that, it makes you not trust the medical profession.
It does muck about with my libido. I know it's changed me, you know what I mean, and things, but I'm lucky the most, because there's some people, the tablets change them that bad, they don't recognise themselves no more. And nobody recognises them because the head's gone clear.
Trying to operate as a detective in the police force, when you're on 40 grams of this and 40 grams of that, and sleeping tablets and etc, etc. To say it is a challenge is an understatement. It's virtually impossible.
I mean, medication on its own is not going to help. You need people like...
My tablets used to make me feel dizzy, and I used to get paranoid on what the tablets was doing to me.
And these people look me, is tell me, okay, it's alright, take a tablet. Every time, I cannot take a tablet all life.
Almost twice as many men as women drink alcohol to cope with feeling down. The fact is, UK men are more likely to drink alcohol to excess, smoke illegal substances and misuse drugs. Men are more likely than women to use drugs and alcohol rather than asking for help. In the long run, this usually makes things worse.
I've tried everything. I've tried everything. I mean, every drug you can think of, I've tried it, from the most stupid thing to like I say, cannabis, and it's... Some of it helped. It worked for that night you wanted to forget about something, but the next day it's still there and you end up finding yourself having to buy another. So it doesn't work. If anything, cannabis it made me paranoid about the people I did trust, and I didn't trust them no more.
From the early stages of the breakdown up through to when I was in hospital, I started to drink a bit too much, which led the medical staff to instantly identify me as an alcoholic.
First, every time you're drinking, you're feeling very good and relaxed. But you finish a drunk feeling, you're again feeling very bad and you can't understand anything. It's my experience before.
Because without alcohol, I will be sad and mad, and so that's why I started to drink and have drink and more, and that made me become like alcoholic. See, but I don't drink because I want to drink. I drink just sometimes with too much, thinking alcohol is gonna help, but in some point when I drink, that makes it even worse.
Nine out of 10 lone parents are headed by the mother, and a significant minority of children brought up in these circumstances have no contact with their father. Men do see fatherhood as a significant life-changing experience, and therefore loss of children does cause major depression and isolation.
In my case, it all kicked off with my marriage collapsing. But then the fact that I couldn't see my own child kept on reinforcing that depression, and it made it so terribly difficult for me to overcome it.
You have family, you have wife, you have children, it's good for life. That's me all alone, and people easily care for you, and this one is problem.
You very need for cooperate for your partner, your girlfriend, your wife, very need you with corporate. And he's no corporate, you bad for you, not good for you.
Men are more likely to be in psychiatric hospital care, in prison and homeless. Men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide than women. Men tend to display signs of sad emotions as anger and frustration. They feel that no one wants to listen to them, so they become aggressive or completely avoid communication.
I came out of there and I'd be in a worse state than I went in, because I told someone all my problems and they took it on book. That's all they done. They just took it and, okay, I've got this and thank you very much for sharing that, and off you go. And
in society, men are perceived as being leaders, strong, this, that and that. And some sections of society can't believe that a man can go through a mental breakdown like a woman, but people are people, everybody's human.
It's still okay in our society for a woman to cry. Not okay for a man to cry. They tell you it is, but it isn't. If you're crying as a man, you are going to be pushed to the side. People don't really want to know, they don't really want to listen.
There is a natural spiral between loss of job, family, debt problems and homelessness, and this can be very quick. Homeless Link research shows that 7 out of 10 homeless people experience mental health problems. Debt is related to mental health, and loss of home and income can lead to crime as a reaction.
I mean, I've had probably different experiences to people, a lot of people, in the fact that I couldn't stay stable in one community. I was always having to move.
I lost my wife, I lost access to my daughter, I lost my job, I lost my dignity.
I never steal anything, I never rob anyone, I never kill anyone. I end up in prison because of my depression. You know?
Men account for 75% of suicides in England and Wales. Suicide is common among men who are separated, widowed or divorced, and more likely if an alcoholic. The stigma associated with mental health problems is strongly felt by men. Often the only solution in a man's head is to take his own life.
you should be feeling, you're a man and you shouldn't have them feelings. You should just man up, if you will, and get on with it.
Sometimes I'm crying, yeah, and go sometimes crying all myself, and here my life is very, very hard.
I see that some people, they are coming and try for the suicide, and that is very bad.
I attempted numerous suicides, and I remember once I took a load of tablets and I was actually disappointed. I woke up the next morning.
I suffered with extremely intense suicidal ideation for, I would think, at least 2 years.
You're feeling very low. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to see anyone. My phone was switched off all the time. And so many times I did attempt for my own life anyway.
I shouldn't really admit this, but I wanted to end it a few times. Because you're just in despair.
I think men's groups are, they do work and counselling, you know, just specific counselling. If the man wants a male counsellor, then give him a male counsellor.
Women are better at reporting to their GPs in the early stages of depression, for example. Men don't.
This need for the two things, need for the family support and very important for the friend support as well.
I think it's hard for a man to open up and literally pour everything. It needs to come in time. It needs to. You've got to be patient with that person, because he isn't going to do it all in one session. He isn't going to, you know, and he's not going to feel better for that. He's, like I say, it takes time. And
you know, it can affect anybody at any time, whether you're professional or not.
You know, men do cry, and they cry out in desperation. And we've got to start doing something about it as a society, because if we don't, it's going to get worse.
It's not easy for any man to ask for help. This film shows how a number of men have struggled with mental health problems, but in the end they did ask for help. Help is there if you take the courage to ask. The men in the film have gone on to get support to solve issues and rebuild lives. So can you. The first place you should go is your GP, and be firm that you need to talk to someone. All GPs are part of a national programme called IAPT. If you're unable to do this and you are concerned about yourself or a loved one, the following helplines and websites can offer expert advice. This film has been made by My Time, a social enterprise owned by its service users.